So I want you all to feel into your bodies right now. I think all of us have some level of anxiety that we live with. But I want you to focus into your body and see where the anxiety actually lives in your body. Is it in your head? Is it in your chest? Is it in your belly? Where do you feel it in your body? I feel it in my chest, and I feel it in my center, in my abdomen. So I want you to find, both on the outside by feeling this, there's a point, find where your navel is, and also find where your ribs come together. This area where the ribs join, it's called the xiphoid process. So put one finger on the top, the rib joining, and the other finger on the navel. Halfway in between, find a point. Actually look for it with your thumb. Run your thumb down that center line until you find a little indentation where it lands. These acupuncture points, they've been in development constantly and research for about 2,000 years. So all of you have, you all have them in your body. Okay, find this point. I want you to focus in on it. Focus in on it with your thumb. So almost feel like you're putting energetic pressure into this point, but also you're bringing your mind down through this channel to meet this point. So it's almost like you're landing on this little platform. So is your mind distracted yet? Maybe. That's okay. Let your mind be distracted. Just bring your mind back and bring it down right into the center of your abdomen here. So at the same time that you're massaging this point from the outside, you're bringing your mind down from your head, down through your chest, into the point. And if you close your eyes, you can actually even visualize the point as maybe a gathering of light or a gathering of energy. Depends. Are you a visual person? Are you more of a sensual, physical, feeling person? Maybe there's even a sound there that you notice. So if you're doing a lot of massaging on the point, I'd like you to try to go to stillness and just see if with your finger you can almost like laser beam into that point. You know, this is the first point we're doing here, so we're spending a lot of time with it to set this vibration of being able to be in our bodies. Feel that we actually do have these points of focus. But these are points of focus that also will adjust the physiology of the body. They'll adjust the workings. And this is going right into the stomach. So now I want you to start to notice what's coming out of this point. We're putting all this energy and attention into this point. But what's coming back out? It may be an image. It may be a feeling. It may be a sensation. Maybe a memory. What I'm feeling is that there's a lot of energy gathered there. It's almost like a knot is there. You know, so the first thing we always go to is there's a knot there. I don't like it. I don't want to be with that knot. I'm going to distract myself from it, or I'm going to try to break it open. But I'm not going to do either. I'm just sitting there with the knot, sitting with it, watching it, being with it, breathing into it. But also more Buddhist wisdom from the past, I'm breathing into it not to make it change. I'm just breathing into it so I can be present with it. The more you spend time with it, the more you're going to notice it starts to just change on its own. So what I notice is that energy is starting to go from the center of that point, and it's starting to wrap around my back. And that's actually releasing the knot a little bit. It's interesting because it's wrapping around the back and it's going into my spine. So now actually I am feeling into this point, and this point is actually asking me to move to a different point. How am I experiencing that? Somehow the point starts to vibrate a little bit, and my focus of my mind, which is placed on my abdomen here, is starting to wander a little bit. It's actually wandering a little lower. So now I want you to go to find your knees. Actually, just start to warm your knees up. So on the outside of the knees, you're going to feel, you feel these two little holes in the knees, these two little, right at the kneecap. You feel into those? Yeah, okay. So on the outer hole, I want you to feel down about 3 inches. Just run your hands down right along that bone, and there you're going to feel there's sort of an indentation that you fall into, and it's actually, if you dig into it a little bit, it's going to be a little tender. This is a very important point. This is probably the most important point for all digestive problems. So on both sides, either with your thumbs or your index fingers, I want you to massage into it, but especially massage into it by running your fingers down the channel, because these are channels of energy where points live on. So you're massaging down the channel and you're dropping right into that point. So what we're doing here is we're creating relationship. What's another thing that treats anxiety? In my experience, when I'm having anxiety in the morning, if I go outside and I go and I order a coffee or I talk to somebody on the street, somehow my anxiety gets better. Definitely my depression gets better if I'm having that, because I'm creating relationship. But we don't always need other people to create relationship. We can create relationship with our bodies here. We're creating relationship with the points. We already opened up this point in the center of our abdomen. Now we're opening up these points on our knees. So I want you to start to notice what happens. What I feel with this point is all of the gathering of energy that was in my belly, and some of that was anxious energy. Some of it just felt a little like indigestion. Seems to be clearing. It's almost like everything is moving down. I'm feeling a sense of anchoring, like I'm more grounded, less like I'm floating around. I'm feeling much more calm. So the way this really old treatment works is we make triangles on the body. We start along the center line. So we started in the center of the stomach, the top of the triangle, and then we anchored it into these 2 points below. And this trio of points treats the digestive system. There is this belief that anxiety starts in the digestive system. It's our inability to digest our experiences, our thoughts, and our emotions that creates the anxiety. So anxiety is basically indigestion. It's a metabolic process. Chinese medicine likes to see things body and mind simultaneously, always. That everything that's happening in our mind and our emotions is also happening in our physical bodies. That's why I think Chinese medicine is the earliest study of psychosomatics that there was. Something happening in the body is happening in the mind. Something that's happening in the mind is happening in the body. So you have to treat both to treat either one. So by doing this trio, this focusing on the center of the abdomen and also on these very important points on the knees, we're strengthening our metabolic digestive processing, both for our digestion of food and drink, but also for metabolism and digestion of our thoughts, our experiences, our emotions. So feel the sense of being grounded into the floor. I actually feel myself actually being really anchored. Whereas before I felt sort of like I was floating up and my energy was scattered everywhere. Now I feel like it got anchored, centered in the middle, and it's being grounded down into the floor. I feel my mind has calmed. My nervousness is calmed. And actually, this feeling of bloatedness around my center has started to reduce. You can actually hear the quality of my voice has changed a little bit too. It's become much more resonant, much deeper. My words are coming easier. My thoughts, my body, my emotion, they're all syncing up. So now that we feel we've established the connection, the first triangle between the center and the grounding into the legs, I want you to find this point where we started. So just try to dig into it. Trust me, you'll feel the holes here. It's sort of like an energetic vortex. With all of the acupuncture points, you feel into it and you sort of fall into it. Like the point opens up because it wants our attention. So feel 1 inch up from that point we spent some time with. For me, it actually feels like a little knot. Obviously, I'm showing you this for a reason because I have a lot of experience with it. So I'm massaging into this. And I actually feel the point opening up. It's sort of like a little indentation. And this one is a little less open for me. And it actually, when I press on it, it sort of sends some energy up, and this is one of the best points for acid reflux, actually. This is also one of the best points for anxiety. For that feeling of blockage between the chest and the belly where you can't swallow your emotions. So it's like you have what they call running piglet energy, meaning like everything's rushing up and you're acting like an anxious animal. So establish the energy of this point. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to create the second triangle. I want you to go to your wrist. So on the inner side of the arm, I want you to see where the 2 tendons come together, right at the wrist, and about 2 inches up towards the torso. Also, just feel your way up that channel. And you'll find another hole that you fall into. And you can start by massaging into this, but more than that, I want you to zone into it, like you have a laser through your thumb that's going right into that point. Describe to yourself what this point makes you feel like. For me, it's making me feel extremely calm. I feel it going right to my chest. It's almost like a warm hand has been placed on my chest, or like a blanket is on my chest, or a pillow is on my chest. So when I feel that calming in my chest and I feel it actually drain down into my low back, and it's actually relaxing my lower back too. You can even see the quality of my voice is changing. It's becoming sort of softer, more tranquil. So with this, as you laser into this point, I want you also with your mind to go into this point. To me, when I go into it, it sort of feels like a quiet cave. Like it's a little bit dark, it's a little bit cool, but not a scary feeling, like a comforting feeling, like I've gotten out of the sun. It's quiet, I feel protected. I'm actually surprised because that's not usually what I think of this point as. I always think of this point as much more dynamic, so I'm a little surprised I'm finding it as a refuge cave today, but So as we see, some points are very dynamic. They move energy. They do things to the body. They make the body work better, like the metabolism. But other points, they're actually like meditation caves. They're actually kind of portals into focus, into mindfulness. That's actually the original word of an acupuncture point, a meditation cave. So it's sort of like taking a psychedelic, huh? You have sort of like a shamanic journey that happens. I'm just feeling that experience just from pressing on this point. And once we feel that we've created the connection between this point on the torso and these points on our wrist, and if you feel you're not good at this, that really doesn't matter. Nobody's good at meditation when they start. That's why we call it a practice. We just practice. And when our mind starts to float, we just bring it back to a point of attention. But we do it really kindly. And doing the massage with the points helps because it gives us a point of focus. And we're also doing something. That also helps with anxiety, the feeling that we're doing something. We're in control, we're being active, we're being productive. So now we should wrap this up by doing one last triangle, lower triangle around the intestines. So we go back to our original point, right in the center of the abdomen, and feel right back into it. And check in with it. To me, it feels like a big gathering of energy, like a power source of energy. That's why it's always good to go back to the power source, draw from the power source. And then I want you to go 2 inches below the power source. You should not be at the navel yet. You should be 2 inches up from the navel, 2 inches down from the center here, more or less. What's more important is I want you to feel the point on your own body. I want you to go down the channel and your finger should fall into the point. Almost like the energy from the point comes up and grabs you and locks you in. Yet again, this sort of feels like more like a mound on my body than like a dip. But it still does have an energetic pull to it, my own body energy. So we can start to massage into that, make a little relationship into it, open the point. And I definitely feel the fullness of my intestines and my belly, my entire lower digestive system being activated with this. It's actually a rumbling that starts to happen, and sort of like, kind of like a whirlpool that's going around my lower abdomen. So after that point feels like it started to open, I want you to go to your navel. Go to the sides of the navel, about 2 inches on either side. You'll also feel, you should sort of be at the crest of the hill. After you come off of your navel, you sort of feel like your abdomen comes up to kind of a hill. So right at the top of that hill, on both sides, I want you to feel a point that draws you in. It's taken me a minute to find it, actually. Sometimes you just want to play with it. And then you just fall right in. Yeah, I just fell right in now. Okay. These points, just like the points on the knees, they belong to the stomach acupuncture channel. And it's interesting because they have the same quality. The energy is very descending. It's very grounding. I put my fingers on it and all of my energy seems to go down into the floor, into the earth. Very anchoring. And we know with anxiety, one of the major qualities of anxiety is we don't feel anchored, we don't feel grounded. We feel like we're floating all over the place, like buzzing, flying. Press on these points, feel the anchoring into the floor. I actually feel my forehead starts to open, my neck starts to drop, my shoulders drop. It's almost like my entire torso goes into alignment. My back relaxes. But it also engages. This may actually pull you into somewhat of a meditative state where you close your eyes and you kind of sink into a peacefulness. You might even go to a place where you realize you're not having any thoughts. Finally, you're not having any thoughts. You're just in feeling, but not anxious feeling. You're just in presence, sensation. Stay with that for a minute or so. Then you can start to come out of it. I want you to sit in a neutral state. So I'm not sure about how you're feeling, but if you just notice the way that I'm even appearing, the voice quality has changed, my energy has changed, my speed has changed. There's a difference. Even though this is classically used as a digestive health acupuncture or acupressure in the way that we did it protocol, I think this is one of the best treatments for anxiety. Anxiety that starts in the gut, that goes into the chest and scatters us everywhere. It's a very grounding meditation that I hope you'll try at home.